My name is Lindsay Warner, and I hope you like my segment today on Open House about the pros and cons of auction.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Open House, 12 o'clock. And Michael Brock, before I get to the gentleman on my left-hand side, Mr. Lindsay Warner, I believe you are the only South Australian Australasian auctioneer competition winner ever.
Yeah, it's really hard every time it comes round. I'm always barracking for the people from interstate.
No, that's a fantastic...
This year, I reckon, we could have a chance. Nick Baranico, who's won the South Australian event, he's competing in the Australasian, and I think the last 2 years it's been won by New Zealanders. So, it's still nice to be the only one.
About time we knocked them off. But anyway, Brocky, well done. Lindsay, your accolades are very well documented. You've won the Harcourts auctioneering competition the last 2 years. You've been a Golden Gavel winner. You're a fellow of the Auctioneer and Appraiser Society, etc., etc. What do you like about auctioning?
I think auctioneer is a clear and precise way of selling a property, and it's just the pure negotiations of it, where you can compress 3 or 4 weeks from negotiation if you're selling by other methods. You can bring it into an hour session from the time you commence the open inspection to the actual auction itself, and perhaps a little bit of negotiation afterwards. And really it compresses a lot of emotion into a short period of time, and hence there's some excitement there's some emotion there, but the bottom line is it gets the job done.
And it brings it to a head, doesn't it?
It does.
We always tell our prospective vendors that it really gives you 3 bites of the cherry. You know, if you get a really good offer before the auction, you can accept that. Competitive bidding on the day can push the price, through the roof because there's no upper limit. And thirdly, even if it doesn't sell under the hammer, you can negotiate afterwards, and you've really got a feeling of what the public thinks it's worth.
You are right. An auction either sells the property or it makes it saleable and helps define the price. So whether it's a rising market or a market that's coming back just a little bit, the bottom line is it helps determine what the final price will be.
And in terms of vendors and purchasers, let's look at it from both sides. What do you think that the vendors should do in terms of aiming towards setting a reserve price?
Yep.
And secondly, how do you think buyers should approach the auction in terms of setting their limits?
When you're handling the marketing of a property, it's very critical that you educate the purchasers on how the auction process works, because they only may buy a home once every 5, 7 or 10 years at auction, so they're not absolutely au fait with the procedure, but it's most critical that you spend time with them. So when you first have a person who's looking to buy a home at auction, you do ask them, have you bought at auction before? What's your experience? How are you feeling about this process? So you know what level they're at from the start. And then you simply give them a plan, because there has to be a way to go about it. So with the purchasers, I say to them, sit down with your partner or your families and work out what price you'd love to buy the property at. Now, bearing in mind it's going to be a cash unconditional contract, and you would have spoken to someone like Will Chapman to get your finance in place. So you come up with a bottom price you'd love to buy the property at. There is a second price which is above that, where you'll stretch yourself to buy the home. What you do then is you write both those prices down and put them in your pocket. So when you go to the auction, you can bid to the bottom price all day, every day. And if you can get it for that price, fantastic. If you stretch yourself to the next price, then you get it, you're happy. If it runs through both prices, it wasn't meant to be, and you keep looking for another property.
There's a bit of an old adage, isn't there, Linz? Bid as high as you possibly can, and if you don't get it, you're comfortable.
You're comfortable. Yeah. And have those numbers written down so there's no guesswork on the day what you're prepared to pay.
Great advice.
The other thing that I always talk to prospective buyers at an auction about, don't give a nice round figure as a limit. So let's say that you've done your figures and your absolute maximum is 440. See if you can go that little bit extra, and so go to 441 or 443, something like that, because other people set limits at even numbers.
Yes, it's the psychology of it all.
Yeah.
And then when you've got the buyers, of course, the people setting a reserve price, at the start of the day, the reserve price is the price which protects the owner. It protects their integrity in the property, and if it reaches the reserve price, it sells and they're very happy. So they need to have a reserve price which may be up here, which might be a dream price, a dream they'd love to achieve. However, there's a price which is a little bit less than that, which is a price I don't want to miss out on, a cash unconditional price for their home. So if it reaches the reserve price, that's fantastic. If it falls a little bit short, they do have a price where they don't miss out on a cash unconditional contract. And bearing in mind that a cash unconditional contract is good because it allows them to move very quickly on to the next stage of their life and purchase the next home, or if their home is still on the market and hasn't sold, they can't move on.
It is a bit frustrating sometimes, isn't it, Lindsay, when vendors get it in their mind that the reserve price is their actual dream price. In fact, it should be, as you say, that the minimum price that they're prepared to take to make sure that the deal is done on the day.
Yes.
Because I've seen many, many times over 30 years or so where people say, gee, I wish I'd taken that offer we had on the day. And it's 2 or 3 weeks later, that person's bought another house and it's still going along. But Maltz, one thing that the viewers might be interested in, after auctioning for 37 years, I had something happen last week that's never happened before. It was a little commercial site up at Stirling, and the owners were hoping to get $2 million for it, but if they got 1.8, they were happy as Larry. We got to 1.8 and they said it's on the market. 2 bidders pushing against each other in $10,000 bids. It went for $2,830,000. So it's over $1 million above what they were hoping to get. And that shows the power of auction. I mean, that's a freak, but those things can happen, can't they, Lindsay?
$1 million on the skyrocket and tax-free. Liz, just before we let you go, auctioneers, to me, I'm fascinated by them. What do you actually enjoy about the process yourself? And I've watched you, I think I was present at your very first auction at a little place out in either Elizabeth or Salisbury many years ago.
Yep.
And watched you develop into one of the very finest auctioneers. What do you actually enjoy about it?
I think there is a bit of theatre involved in the auction. There is no doubt. I used to want to be a lead singer of a rock and roll band, but I failed dismally because I can't sing, so I thought I'd be an auctioneer instead. No, I joke. The thing is it just helps people achieve a result. And I think it's the pure negotiation of it, where you can stand in front and you form, in a 10-minute block, you form a relationship with that prospective buyer here, form a relationship with that prospective buyer over here, and just to deal with the emotions and the negotiations and help them achieve their dreams or help them buy the home. And then on the other side, you've got the vendor who is emotional, but just explaining that there is a logical process. Now, we know that real estate is it's emotional for some people, but if you put as much logic and process into it, you achieve the result. And the result comes in a short period of time, and perhaps I've got a short memory span.
That is beautifully spoken. Even just watching you then, Lindsay, I married an Italian, and the use of your hands, I mean, it is a real body language type.
But I think you've also got to be an actor at heart, don't you? I mean, the technical side is very, very important to know exactly where you're going from a legal point of view and so on. It's a very serious business. But if you combine that technical nous with some acting ability and a bit of street theatre, that makes it entertaining and fun.
And we do know we have to comply with very strict regulations, and we do that on a day-to-day basis, but combining that with perhaps that theatre and perhaps a nice, clear delivery helps facilitate it as well.
Couldn't agree more. Lindsay Warner, that was our Google It section. Lindsay Warner from Brock Harcourt's Adelaide, sitting between two of the finest auctioneers going around. And I will just say this about auctions, the most transparent process in selling a home or property going around. So please consider auction for your next property you sell. That's it for this week, Brocky.
Yeah, great show. Very interesting cross-section again. And
loved having Tony Matthews on.
Yes, no, he's been around, as he said, for a long time, since dinosaurs. But he's got a lot of big projects going, and anyone looking to invest in apartments in the city in particular, give Tony a ring.
Give Tony a call. Then we had Will Chapman talking about the finance for those particular apartments. So marry those two guys up together and the deal's done. Of course, we had the great man Lindsay Warner next to me, and a very interesting interview with Pat Mesiti, who I think is just doing some wonderful things out there, both on the stage but also with some of the people that find themselves in a little bit of trouble. Ladies and gentlemen, that's been an action-packed show. Before we go, the sponsors of this are just absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much to Andrew Cook and Rob Skipper from API Insurance, fantastic insurance agents. Please give them a call or jump onto their website. We've got Smart Post. Your good friend Steve Banwell just keeps popping up those signs on the right properties day in, day out. Doing a magnificent job, doesn't he, Lynch?
Right properties is a good property.
That's a good idea. Only every now and again he gets them on the wrong one, but that's okay. Amadio Wines, have you tried the last red?
It was beautiful.
Little fire, Lindsay, somebody very special.
On a beer rug.
Correct,
or on a rug beer.
A little bit too much detail for the viewers.
Somebody was bare. Amadio Wines, thank you very much to Anthony Olsen and Duncan Bashir, dear old Maxie Bashir's mob, Hannon, some of the very best solicitors going around, sound advice every time. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Open House. Lindsay Warner, Michael Brock, over and out.
Go those Crows.
Thank you for watching the segment today on auction. For any further information, please give me a call on 0414 627 888 or lwarner@brockrealestate.com.au.